You're standing in the aisle at the store and someone says your name, and you know this face. You know where they live. You know they have a small brown dog. You know their kitchen was being redone last spring because they told you about it. Twice. You know all of it. And their name is not coming. It's right there. You can almost feel the shape of it. But the sound won't arrive, and now there's a small silence sitting between the two of you, and you're filling it with a smile that's working a little too hard. Here's the part almost nobody notices. In that exact moment, you probably know what letter it starts with. Most people read that moment the same way. Something is slipping. The memory is going, and once that thought arrives, it colors the rest of the week. So look at what's actually in your head while you're standing there. Since the 1960s, researchers have been reading people a definition, waiting for them to get stuck, and then asking what they can tell about the word they cannot say. People got the first letter right about 57% of the time. They got the number of syllables right about 60% of the time. You can't say the name, but you can describe it. That is not an empty drawer. That's a drawer you're standing in front of, with your hand on the handle. And there's a second surprise. Your vocabulary is not shrinking. Word knowledge keeps climbing into your 60s, then holds steady. Adults in their 70s know more words than adults in their 20s. Not fewer, more. So the storage isn't the problem. Which raises a better question. If the name isn't gone, where is it stuck? To answer that, you need to know how your brain says a word. It doesn't happen in one step. It happens in two. The first step is meaning. This is where the person lives. Their face, their dog, their kitchen, the fact that you like them, all of that fires the moment you see them. The second step is sound. The actual syllables. The thing your mouth needs. These are two separate systems joined by a link that carries a signal from one to the other. When you get stuck on a name, step one has fired perfectly. That's why you feel so certain. Step two hasn't received enough signal to switch on. So that feeling, I know this, I just can't say it, isn't confusion. It's an accurate report. Half the system is working beautifully and telling you so. Researchers call this a transmission problem. Nothing is erased. The link between meaning and sound just isn't carrying enough current, and links go faint when they're rarely used. Now, here's why this lands on names harder than on anything else. Take the word baker. As a job, that word is tied to 100 other things. Bread, flour, early mornings, white dust on someone's hands. Every one of those is a road into the word. Now take the same word as a surname, Mr. Baker. It tells you nothing about him. He doesn't bake. There's no bread, no flour, no early morning. There's one road in, and it leads to exactly one person. Researchers have tested this over and over. People recall a stranger's job more easily than his surname. Same word, different job to do. A name isn't a weak memory. It's a normal memory hanging by a single thread. And a single thread is the first thing to go quiet. So why does this show up more after 50 when your vocabulary is at its peak? Two things are happening at once, pulling in opposite directions. The first is physical. Researchers scanned people from 19 to 88 and counted how often each one got stuck on a name. The count rose with age, and it rose with thinning in one small region on the left side of the brain, involved in producing the sounds of words. The second thing is quieter, and it's about your life rather than your brain. By now you have met more people than at any other point in your life. Every colleague, every neighbor, every parent from your children's school. The shelf is fuller than it has ever been. But daily contact is thinned out. People retire, people move. The names you used every day for 20 years, you now use twice a year. And when researchers looked at which names people actually get stuck on, it was exactly those. People they hadn't spoken to recently. So your memory isn't emptying. The shelf is fuller, the aisles are longer, and the paths you walk least often are the ones going faint. Which is good news, because paths respond to being walked on. Let's start with the one you can use today in the aisle, mid-conversation. Give it about 10 seconds, then stop. Not because it's hopeless, the opposite. Names that don't come immediately very often arrive later on their own, once you've stopped reaching. In tests, words come back more often after a delay than after retrying straight away. So, say the honest thing. It's gone for a second, it'll come back. And then, let it come back. The second one is the most powerful, and almost nobody uses it, because it feels like admitting something. Ask someone for the first syllable. In one study of adults over 60, when people were stuck and got a syllable cue, around 78% of those words came back. Without the cue, in that same window, about 11% came back on their own. That is the difference between a locked door and a door with a key sitting next to it. The syllable works because it feeds the sound system directly. The exact step that was short of signal. You already know the person. You're being handed the missing sound. So asking a friend, what's her name again? Does it start with a B that isn't a confession? That's the mechanism used correctly. The third one changes every name you meet from here on. Remember Mr. Baker hanging by one thread? Give him more threads. When you meet someone, tie the name to something. A picture, a rhyme, something about them. Anything that isn't only the sound. Trials that teach this show real gains, and they're similar whether you're 20 or 70. Fourth, use the name again on a spreading schedule. Say it back when you meet them, again a few minutes later, again the next day. It's called spaced retrieval, and it's one of the best tested memory techniques there is. And one more where the evidence is thinner, but the logic is hard to argue with. Get your hearing checked. A name you didn't clearly hear was never properly filed in the first place. Now the other side. And the first thing on this list is what almost everyone does, forcing it. In one experiment, people who stayed stuck on a word for 30 seconds were more likely to get stuck on that same word again later than people who stopped after 10. That held the next day and a week later, even though they'd been told the right answer every time. The explanation is uncomfortable and useful. While you're straining, you're running the wrong route. And your brain learns routes by running them. So you're not searching harder. You're practicing the miss. 10 seconds, then let go. Same advice from both directions. Next, brain training games. People do get better at the game. That part is real. What the evidence doesn't show is that it carries over to the name of the woman in the aisle. Play them if you enjoy them. Just don't count on them. And then the supplements. Ginkgo biloba got a proper test. Over 3,000 people, followed about 6 years. No advantage over placebo on memory, attention, or language. And a heavily advertised supplement built around a protein called apoecrine, lost in federal court in 2024. The makers were barred from claiming it improves memory. So when is a name worth mentioning to your doctor? The honest line isn't about whether you forget, it's about whether it comes back. Forgetting a name and remembering it an hour later is the ordinary pattern. Names that never arrive at all are a different pattern. Second, watch which words. Getting stuck on a rare name is expected. Getting stuck on everyday words, water, chair, the thing in your hand, is not the same thing. Third, watch the speed of change. This doesn't normally get noticeably worse over a few months. And fourth, if language is the only thing changing, your memory feels fine, but finding words is getting harder. Mention that specifically. There are conditions where language goes first. Now the balancing fact, because leaving it out would be dishonest. People who worry about their memory do get stuck on words more often. In one study, more than twice as often. But when researchers followed people for a year and a half, The rate of change did not predict who went on to decline. So the number of names you lose this month is not a forecast. It's something to keep an eye on, not a verdict. Here's the one thing to do today. The next time a name doesn't come, count to 10 in your head. If it hasn't arrived, say so out loud and ask for the first sound. That's it. You've stopped practicing the miss, and you've used the one cue that actually opens the door. And notice what's happening while you stand there. You know the face, you know the dog, you know the kitchen. That is a very large amount of intact memory waiting on one small sound. Now, that's a name you couldn't reach. But there's a stranger version of this. You walk into a room completely certain you came in for something, and the moment you cross the doorway, the reason is gone. That one isn't about words at all. That's next.